Hey, welcome everybody. Aesop Grimm here, and this is the intro video for our new Chronicle. This is Chronicle number 2 for the game Stellaris. And let's do first things first and get the content briefing out of the way. ESRB gives a rating for the console edition, but the console edition is pretty much the same as the PC version. So they rate it E for everyone 10 plus, violent references and mild language. That's really straightforward. That's all they have to say. Over at Common Sense Media, it's also rated age 10 plus. They give it 4 stars. They say it's deep, engaging space strategy, has big challenge for players. What parents need to know. Parents need to know that Stellaris is a downloadable strategy title for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Windows PC that focuses on space colonization and conquest. This 4X title, so named because of the need to explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate to succeed in the game, takes to the stars. Instead of taking the role of a specific character, players essentially oversee a species, either pre-made or custom created, as they expand from their individual galaxy to spreading across the universe. Although there are some deaths or conflicts explained in text, violence is barely shown. In fact, conflicts between ship armadas result in explosions and vessel debris, but that's all that's shown. While the game has simple controls, this hides an incredibly deep game that's very complex. The title's random elements and events only serve to further complicate play, making it easy to succeed or fail without your direct influence on the game. This can be extremely frustrating, and while the game does come with a tutorial and links to its online manual, there's no guarantee that you'll fully understand what you need to do to win without multiple play attempts. Parents should also be aware that up to 32 players can play a match against each other online without any moderation. Okay, this is a typical Paradox game. Here's my take on it. Typical Paradox game, which means that it fits in the category of grand strategy. Grand strategy is not for your 10-year-old, not unless he's a savant, or protege. Protege, I don't know. Prodigy, I think, is the word I'm looking for. But when it comes to things that are displayed graphically or through audio, do you have anything to worry about if you've got toddlers in the room? I really don't think so. This game is really boring for them. I mean, there's maybe a little bit. You can zoom in on the ships and you'll see them fighting each other and running circles around each other, and there's lasers flashing, and they might get excited about that. But there's not anything. There's not any cutscenes. There's no audio that's going to come across that is inappropriate for these kids. I will say there is one audio clip for when you discover new alien life that I personally think sounds really sketchy. I'm not going to go any further than that. Any of you who play Stellaris, maybe you know what I'm talking about. There's one audio clip that sounds sketchy as all get out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to input a custom clip to replace it. So that way anybody out there who could perceive this as being something else won't be angry that their 4-year-old was in the room when this thing came blasting across the speakers. Okay, now I don't know. Maybe I'm the weird one here and I'm the only one hearing this and nobody has any idea what I'm talking about, but I don't think so. So, anywho, moving on, I'm going to take care of that. There's going to be a different custom-made sound from me that not something that I voiced over, but I'll find something to replace it, and I'll create an MP4 to replace that file, and it'll be a substitute, so that we don't have any problems. Okay. Now, when it comes to the content of the game, for your older kids or for those of you, this is not just for kids. I don't make these videos for kids. I'm trying to speak to the adults in the room, but I'm trying to give you information, okay? And the kid lens is kind of the most popular thing, but it's for whatever. I mean, I don't know what your personal values are and stuff like that, so I'm trying to hand you all this information. So when it comes to the content of the game, this game it's a typical Paradox game. There is absolutely zero moral judgment on what you do. They don't push you in either direction at all, but they make everything available. You could be a quote-unquote good guy. You could be a quote-unquote bad guy, okay? So for example, the United Nations of Earth, which is who I played last time, they're what I would call a good guy nation. Their government is xenophile, meaning that they love the aliens. They love them. They want to work with them. It's a Star Trek kind of thing. What can we all do? It's nice to meet you, fellow stranger. I respect you. You respect me. Can we set up diplomatic and trade agreements that will enhance both our nations? Do you want to do a migration compact where we can get to learn each other's cultures? We can do a cultural exchange, that kind of stuff. And they're also egalitarian, meaning that everybody gets a fair shake in their empire. It doesn't matter about what their religion is, what their background is, what their genetics are, their ethnicity, their religious beliefs. If you have the meritocracy, then you can be whatever you want in that empire. That's the egalitarian approach. They also tend to, if they run into more underdeveloped alien societies that are in, say, the age of exploration, or they're in the prehistoric age or something, they can uplift them. They can build an observation station over them, and they can set parameters like, don't interfere with these people at all. Let's just observe them. And then at the point in time that you felt that you've observed their society enough, you can actually choose to uplift them and help boost them forward and make them eventually allies and stuff like that. That's what I would call a good guy nation. Are we playing a good guy nation? No, not really. We are playing the Commonwealth of Man. And the Commonwealth of Man have a militaristic ethic. They are fanatic militarists, and they are xenophobic. The whole thing that happened with them, in a nutshell, and we're going to see this in the game. We'll see the whole story, so I'll give you the snapshot. At the end of, I believe it's the 21st century, the United Nations of Earth, the quote-unquote good guys, found a unstable wormhole. But I assume because we were just starting to learn about these things, we weren't really sure whether it was unstable or not, or maybe we were just simply willing to take the risk. But we were able to see through. Whenever I say we, I'm talking us as humans on Earth. We were able to see through the wormhole, and there was a planet on the other side that could sustain human life. And so we asked for volunteers, basically, and we got a bunch of them. 6 ARC ships with 250,000 people on each one went through this thing, and the wormhole collapsed. 5 of them were lost. 4 of them, I think, died, like they structurally came apart in the wormhole or during the transition. A 5th was lost, and that one will actually have some game inputs to find. It's called the Hyacinth, but it was lost to us. Only 1 out of these 6 ships was able to go colonize that Earth. We needed that planet. We needed 6. We only got 1. So that's why you see my pictures say what it says. It says devastation to domination. These people were on the edge of extinction. And I would imagine that what happened is that they had to undergo, as a society, a complete militarized society with extreme discipline, established hierarchies, but respect for each other, right? It's like no one person is better than the other, even though you have an authoritative hierarchy. What you have is everybody has their role to play. And those roles are required and needed, and everybody understands that and respects that. But there is a definitive chain of command for the purposes of being able to operate in inclement conditions against terrible odds, And so the entire society became militaristic, and they also became very, how would you say, like maybe determined, ultra aggressive. It's what happens naturally when you're part of any minority group. And I'm not talking ethnicity here. It could be ethnicity, but I mean, whenever you're on the outside looking in, when you're the least represented, there's sort of an us against the world kind of mentality that serves to bind everybody together. And you can see this on sports teams. How often do you see sports teams talk about it's us against the world? And it can even be fabricated to a false sense of they're all against us. And so we're at war with everybody. We're going to take everybody down. Everybody's against us. We're going to take all of you out. Well, is everybody really against you? No. What you really want to do is you just want to assert your dominance, and you're utilizing this us against them matrix to generate cohesiveness amongst your group. Does everybody follow? That's an opinion. Maybe you have a different take, but I think that would explain what's going on here with the Commonwealth of Man, because aggressive they do become. They are xenophobic. They don't trust others. They don't trust anybody outside their circle. And they might even feel like, what happened? Why was this so catastrophic? Did Earth actually betray us? They could have it's been a little while. There's been time for ideals to form, and legends to become more accepted as that's probably what happened. So there's a lot of room. This is a very defensive minded empire. I don't mean defense as in they're going to sit back and play defense. I mean, like, have you ever run into somebody who was ultra defensive? You can't say anything to those people without them getting offended, right? Because they're looking to be offended. They're looking for a reason. They're skeptical about everything and everyone around them, and they're looking to take offense. They're already primed for it. They're a coiled trigger, a coiled spring. Well, that's the Commonwealth of Man, I think. So that's who we're going to be playing. They're xenophobic. They're fanatic militarist. We're going to have the latitude to indiscriminately bomb a planet because we don't think that their lives are worth anything. We can purge entire alien species. We can enslave them. And I'm not sure what I'm thinking I'm going to do robots, I think. And so we don't really need slaves. You can do both, but I have the idea that they are going to become because they're militaristic, I think that they have experience with robots and what robots can do from a military perspective, and they're going to run with that to the nth degree. I have the idea of going down whatever that, I can't remember what it is, but that specialization for robots, the flesh is weak or something, and they're going to become cyborgs eventually, was the idea that I had. But so because of that, their emphasis will be on robots to do all the labor, to augment the army, to form battle suits and stuff like that. They're a robotic centric empire. So I don't think that they would have any need, compulsion, or desire to take on slaves. I think what they would rather do is they'd rather purge. And so we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna kind of just play it as it unfolds, and we'll see what happens there. But I am hoping to get past the year 2475. That's my target, is to get better with this playthrough than I was with the first one. I'm not going to allow for cross-species breeding, of course. As the Commonwealth of Man, we wouldn't do that. That led to an amazing amount of complexity in my previous game. And I really got hemmed in on I had no housing. I had massive unemployed. My economy was crashing, and just a lot. It was all cascading downhill whenever I went ahead and called it quits on that series. So hopefully with this one, I think I have the idea of starting small, finding some bottlenecks, and really building those defense platforms up really strong, so that we can sort of sit behind an iron curtain, if you will, to use an old Soviet term, and just get strong. Nobody comes in, right? This would be a little bit like old school China way back in the day. They didn't want any foreigners in their land, right? I think. I don't know. I kind of said that off the cuff. I'm not sure if I'm right about that. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that's the way that I remember it. We're talking way back when. So isolationist, and we'll sit back there safe, secure, able to hold off any threats and keep them outside of our quote unquote walls. And we'll just build our society with a number of planets that's manageable so that I don't get overwhelmed. So the last thing I want to show you, and if I can make I don't remember what they're called, guys, but if I can make like a Steam Workshop compilation that's publicly available, I will put the link in the description for what mods I'm using. And I have a lot of them, but most of them are cosmetic. I have some really good gameplay ones that I am not going to enable yet because I want to play the vanilla version, but this is going to be kind of a vanilla plus. So let me enable my display. We're going to click on mods here, and we're going to go to manage playset. Okay, so expanded colors I am not using. Why? Because we're playing a vanilla race. I don't need to do anything with the flags. But I am going to use epic explosions. I am going to use Beautiful Universe version 2.0. I am going to use dark UI. I am going to use Real Space 3.7. I am going to use Battle Debris Starship Graveyards. I am going to use backgrounds plus planet view. This changes some of the backgrounds on the events and things of that nature. I'm going to use quadrant fixed. I'm going to use light borders. These three right here are very important. My last playthrough, I played at 4K resolution, and I had multiple complaints about not being able to read the UI or the text because it was all too small. I am now playing at 2K, and that combined with UI overhaul dynamic and Tiny Outliner version 2, and then this compatibility patch that combines the two, I think has fixed that issue, but I am looking for feedback on that. I have flags in the void. We don't need it for this playthrough. I have real space color out of deep. We are using that. I am not using machine ship set. I am using the more events mod. Now that is a gameplay mod, but I'm going to go ahead and enable that, as well as dynamic political events, which is also a gameplay mod. That's what kind of really makes it vanilla plus. The rest is just cosmetic upgrades or changes. I am using remastered human portraits. I am not using diverse rooms or astronomical emblem pack. I am using EG neutral galaxy texture. I am not using carrying capacity, Senatus Populesque, Romanus, Ethics and Civics Classic 2.8, Real Space New Frontiers, or Immersive Roman names. I'm not using those, but I do have them. I might use those in the future on a Roman playthrough. Republic of Play made those popular, and he has a number of others that I did not download because I don't think I'm not that far yet. That's one of the reasons why I want to do the vanilla playthrough. I'd like to beat the game like that before I really overly complicate it. So anyway, that brings us to 18 minutes, and that should that at least lets you know what mods I'm using in case you're interested in them. Like I said, if I can put together a publicly available link that holds that whole compilation in it, I will put that in the comments section for you guys. But other than that, I'm going to say again, I'm Aesop Grimm, and I will see you guys in the next episode where this Chronicle begins. Wish me luck, and we'll see how it goes. Thanks for visiting Aesop Grimm's Chronicles. If you've made it this far in the video, please consider rating, commenting, subscribing, and sharing. I hope to see you in the next episode, and until then, stay shiny.